This conference will now be recorded.
I forgot to tell you, my bad.
Okay, so well, we're basically at it now in terms of we're in the managerial accounting. And there is an accounting cycle where assets equal liabilities plus stockholders' equity. That's same equation. But the cycle begins with determining the unit product cost and selling price. And that's what we're going to work on this week. Once we do that, we journalize entries and we post them to the ledger. Got some new accounts from, but that's why we were doing those problems. But you got raw materials, work in process, and finished goods inventory now, and manufacturing overhead. So have some new accounts, but we prepare a trial balance, we prepare the financial statements. We have two new statements, the cost of goods manufactured, because we have to look at how much it costs to make each item. Cost of goods sold. Then the income statement, statement of retained earnings, balance sheet, statement of cash flows. So these are at the back end and closing entries. So we're still doing these things, but now we have to account for the manufacturing part of it. There are three product costs: materials, labor, and overhead. These items go into the cost of the product. Then you have your period costs, marketing and selling, administrative expenses, and interest expenses. Okay. So product costs, they relate to what we're making. Period costs relate to the administrative part of the organization. This is the total organization piece here on the right on that chart. Okay. Now, for next time, each team is supposed to have something that they're making. Remember that?
You said what? The team?
You're supposed to indicate to me what you're going to make, that you're going to mail to me. So you got to tell me what you're making next time. You send me a PowerPoint for sketch of what you're making, and then by the end of the semester, you got to make it. Got it?
Oh, wait, when did we go over this? You sure you ain't got us mixed up with your other class? uh, okay, we have to make
Somebody
something.
remember this.
Last class time we had was we had that exam, so I just don't recall. Maybe somebody else in class did.
Anybody else?
I don't recall you saying it, but I did see that project, the team project. I saw you got a picture of it in there, and I didn't know exactly what that was, but you just confirmed and cleared up what I was looking at in that picture.
So beautiful, you got to look in course content in a little more detail.
Okay, I'll look it up. No problem.
Okay. But each team is supposed to be making an item. Now, when we were selling those shoes, remember we would always buy the shoes at a certain price and sell it, right? Remember that?
Correct. Yeah, from financial accounting. I remember that.
But see, now you got to come up with the price.
Okay.
See, so you're making the item now. So instead of buying the shoes, you're making the shoe. Got it? Or whatever
Got
you
it.
make.
I got
And
it.
so you should be making something simple or basic. Okay, something simple or basic. And I want you to come up with how much does it cost to make one item. And since you're buying the raw materials, then you should be able to, go ahead and do that. I mean, you might make a pen holder like this, okay? If you got a little talent. A lot of time our examples will be based on this book, okay? Making this book. And there are three components to making this book. First of all, the raw materials. What are the raw materials involved in making a book?
Paper.
Maybe
What's
wood. Oh, if it's
Yeah,
hardcover, wood.
yeah, trees.
paper and what?
Ink.
Ink.
Paper and ink.
Definitely.
Those are the main parts of making this book. Now we do have glue, but that's just a supply. We buy a bulk amount of glue to glue this book together. But the paper, these pages, and the ink. So when I make this book, you know, I have to buy the paper, buy the ink. So nobody gives me anything, you know, nobody, you know, hands me anything. I have to make this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when you on your project, it's the same thing. You got to make it.
Oh boy. Okay.
Well, you won't. So nobody gave me one page. I mean, I copied some pictures online, but for all that writing you see, I had to create that.
Mm,
Hey, that's impressive though.
it is. That's dope.
Well, when I was teaching the course and I looked at the books, you know, there would be nothing in there about living on the accounting cycle, how to make journal entries. There was nothing that gave you the types of journal entries. It was, okay, make these journal entries. And so students had a major weakness in making journal entries. And so I said, well, let me come up with a way to lay these journal entries out so people can make journal entries, because you can't do anything else if you can't make journal entries. So, you know, that was part of the motivation. And I would put a lot of things on the boards. And so my TA said, why don't you just write a book? You know, put these things. And so I said, okay, yeah, I'll do it that way. Then we got the managerial accounting. Managerial accounting assumes, you know, all the stuff we've done to date, you know how to do it. And they would just start on managerial accounting where we are now with no review of financial accounting. And so as you got into it, you know, and they say, okay, prepare the financial statements, do the closing entries. Well, people are way away from that. So I just pulled all those things together. So raw materials, the paper and the ink, I need that to make the book. And I got to come up with a cost of one book now. Direct labor, I have to hire a worker to put this together. That is, the pages are printed, but a worker comes in and, well, once I develop the Word document, they print it, put the pages together, glue it, put the cover on it. So that's what the workers do. But then I got some other costs. I got the depreciation on my computer and on my desk and everything. I got my utility expenses, you know, these lights. I got taxes and insurance and rental expenses, supplies. So glue would be the supply. That's a part of the book, but it's not a major part of it. So I just buy one big glue container, and that glue is used to put it all together. And then once I come up with my unit cost, I can come up with a price. And that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to come up with your unit cost and a price. And so let's look at how we'll do that. Suppose we have a product that's going to be priced at 3 times the unit manufacturing cost. So the product is going to be 3 times the unit manufacturing cost. We plan on making 100,000 units. The raw materials are 2 units at $15. Direct labor is 3 hours at $10. So if I was looking at how much this item was going to cost, if I got right in here, begin to look at the cost, in terms of the raw materials, how much is the raw material cost going to be?
Is it 750,000?
I want how much raw materials for one book.
Oh, for one book. Oh, just 30.
Okay, so 2 units at 1530. So 2 times 15. So that's $30. Any questions? How did I get there? So the unit cost of the raw materials is $30. What about the direct labor?
It's $30 too.
Okay, so direct labor, that's going to be 3
Times
times
10.
10.
Mhm.
So that's going to be $30 also. Now, how much is my overhead going to be per book?
You said how much is your overhead?
Mm-hmm.
That's 600,000.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's to make
600,000. Oh,
100,000
that's
books.
your estimate. The product will be priced at 3 times the unit. Not that I don't know, Professor. Um,
Does it depend on how much your product costs?
yeah. Would it go from number one when you say 3 times the unit manufacturing?
I hadn't gotten there yet. I got to
Oh,
get the total unit cost.
Yeah, I see
your
600,000.
your total would it be 60?
Okay, my overhead cost is 600,000, and I'm making 100,000 units. So what's the overhead per unit? A simple way to do that is that we might say 600,000
Okay.
divided by 100,000.
So
It's just gonna be 600,000 though.
yeah, divided by 100,000. He said.
No, I'm tweaking. I'm
But
sorry.
that was, yeah. So that'll be the answer. It'll just be 6.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It
So
wasn't so
6.
hard, was it?
No, it wasn't, but the way you was asking, it made it seem kind of hard.
Okay. So it's easy to get the raw materials and the labor,
Okay.
but when it comes to the overhead, we're making one item, we can do it this way. But suppose we're making 2 or 3 items and the overhead is 600,000. So it becomes a little bit harder to do. So at this stage, let me underline that. Let's see. So what's our total unit cost going to be?
Would it be 66? Will we just add everything or no?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, yes, 66.
So that's 66. What we're going to sell it for?
You said what are we? So we're gonna sell the book for $66?
Now, what do you think we're gonna sell it for?
Because its product would be 3 times unit manufacturing cost, right?
So we're gonna times 3.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just
66 times 3.
so once we
So
get a
100,
selling price,
198.
once we get a unit cost, then we know our selling price, that multiple, we just put it in parentheses, is what? 3.
Okay.
And so therefore, our selling price is what?
198.
So this is the starting point, coming up with the unit cost of the product. Okay.
Okay. Unit cost of a product.
Are you always gonna give us this same amount of information to solve this, or will it be different?
Well, it'll be a little different. Now,
Mm-hmm.
notice
Will
now,
we always have, sorry to interrupt you, will we
yes,
always know the raw materials?
yeah, you don't always know that. We'll look at an example.
Okay.
So we'll have a little table here. The per unit requirement, 2 for raw materials times 1530. Direct labor, 3 times 1030. Then for the overhead, remember we said the answer was 6, but we calculate a predetermined overhead rate. And we do that because if we're making more than one product, we can't just do that simple division, okay? We can't do that. And so we're going to come up with the same thing, but we're going to base it on the labor hours, because as we're assigning costs, we're going to assign it based on the labor hours. And so we've done this calculation. So let's just see how we come up with a POR. Now the labor hours is given up here 3. So we just bring that down. So we need to get a POR that's going to produce 6. And we'll get to that in a second. First of all manufacturing costs except direct materials and direct labor are manufacturing overhead, but it does not include selling and general administrative expenses. So these expenses are not included, but just the items involved at the plant to make the item. And what we run into also is that a lot of these costs we don't know until the end of the year. And so a lot of time, I told you before, we have to estimate because we have to have relevant data. And so in financial accounting, we just wait to the end of the period, make our calculations. But for manufacturing overhead, we have to estimate it. All the costs would not be in, so we're just using a regression analysis, something like that, based on prior years. And we're going to come up with what's called a predetermined overhead rate. So let's look at how we get that predetermined overhead rate. The total overhead was 600,000, okay? The total quantity to be produced was 100. Now, like I said, if it's just one product, you can get back to this. But really, when we get ready to allocate costs, we don't know if we're going to make 100,000. And so we're going to base it on the labor hours in this chapter. So we multiply 100,000 times 3 and we get 300,000. So that's the total labor hours it's going to take to make the item. 100,000 quantity, 3 hours, 300,000. So to get our POR, line 1 divided by line 4. Okay, line 1 divided by line 4. 600,000 divided by 300,000 gives you 2. So we're going to bring that predetermined overhead rate back in here. Bring down the labor hours. 3 times 2 equals 6. We're estimating the cost, but then we make journal entries. We don't know how many we're going to make. We don't know what the labor is going to be. And so we go with this formula. So you'll get used to it eventually because we have it in chart form. Okay. Now notice that in terms of estimating labor hours, if it takes more than 1 hour to make the item, we multiply. But if you can make more than one item in an hour, you're going to divide. That is, if we could make 10 items in an hour, then it'll only take us 10,000 hours. Okay? So let's.
So at what number do we divide? You said if it takes 1 or more hours.
Remember, it was 3 hours. It took us 3 hours. But suppose we could make 10 items in an hour. So instead of it taking us 300,000 hours, it would simply take us, let me see if I can add a column. So we have the same cost. And the same quantity to be produced. But suppose we could make 10 per hour. Okay. So instead of it taking us 3 hours to make one, we can make 10 an hour. So how many hours are we going to need to make now? How many hours?
Just 10,000.
How many?
10,000 if you divide it.
Okay. So it's going to be 10,000. That's correct. So it's very important when you're making the item to know whether it takes 3 hours and you multiply it, or you can make more than one in an hour. Okay. So if it's 10 per hour,
Right.
10,000, then what's our POR going to be?
It'll be $60 because then it's 600,000 divided by 10,000.
That's correct. $60. 60. Wait a minute. So instead of being 2, this would be $60. Okay. Now notice that our unit manufacturing overhead, in this case, we simply multiplied this by the 3. But if we have this situation where we make more than one in an hour, then we're going to divide. So we're going to take this 10 and divide, and this multiple, the unit overhead cost is still going to be $6. So the unit overhead cost, if the POR is multiplied by the productivity rate, if it takes more than 1 hour to make it, you're going to multiply. 2 times 3 give you 6. But if you can make more than one in an hour, then you're going to divide. So you divide. So here we divide 10 into 2 and we get 6. Here we can make 10 per hour. So we got to divide. Here we make 3 times 2, we get 6. Here is 10 divided into 60 to get 6. So notice what's happening to calculate the unit cost. We multiply when it takes more than an hour. We multiply it times this POR to get 6. But if we can make more than 1 an hour, we're going to divide by 10. We're going to get the same 6. So this gives us the POR, this gives us the unit cost. So going back up here again, the calculation of the 2 times the 3 labor hours gives us the 6. So some of this will change, but if we were making 10 per hour, you know, it will be a big difference. It will be a different cost. It would be a different cost. And we'll look at an example in just a few minutes. But the key thing is that you're going to come up with a predetermined overhead rate, and you're going to multiply that by the labor hours, assuming that it takes more than 1 hour more to make it. You'd be dividing well, you still be multiplying, but you know, you're going to come up with a different, you'd have a bigger number here, and then this will be a fraction if it takes, say, 10 hours to make it. So we'll look at some examples of that. And of course, this is the first time we're seeing it. But once again, coming up with the labor and the materials are easy. It's coming up with the unit overhead cost that's difficult. So let's look at an example. And so here we have we have 5 situations. The ink is 2 at 15 each time, and the paper is 1 at 10 to make the books. But our direct labor rate is 50, 25, 10, 10, and 20. The direct labor production, 10 books per hour, 5 books per hour, 1 book per hour, 2 hours per book, 10 books per hour. And so your job now is, if these are your selling price multiples, and this is your estimated quantity, what is your unit cost and selling price in each case? So these are our costs, 5 different scenarios. This is our selling price multiple. So what would be, if we just look at situation 1, what would be the unit cost and selling price in POR in situation 1?
Would it be 40?
Says 40.
40, yeah, because 2 times 15 and then 1 times 10. And then if you add that together, that's 40.
Did you put some overhead in here?
What did you say?
Did you put in any overhead?
I just did the ink and paper.
We need some
You want
overhead.
us to do, we got to do direct labor too?
Here's your ink, here's your paper, here's your labor,
Okay.
here's your overhead. Remember, when you make something, there's always 3 costs:
3 costs?
materials, labor, overhead. There are always 3 costs.
Oh, yeah. So 50. Okay, wait, I just got confused.
Materials, labor, and overhead.
Raw materials, direct labor, and overhead costs. Correct?
That's correct. Okay, so we need to so we're going to take all this information out if it'll come out. So you got to come up with direct materials, direct labor. Let's just see.
Professor Boyd, I got one question. So direct materials and raw materials, is that the same thing?
Yes,
Okay.
direct materials, raw materials, same thing. See if I can. So in this first situation, where the ink is 2 at 15, the paper is 1 at 10, direct labor is $50 per hour, but they can make 10 books per hour. The selling price multiples 3, you're making 10,000. What I want to know is the direct materials, direct labor, manufacturing overhead in this first situation. Can you handle it?
No.
Oh,
Can you go over this one with us?
all right. Let's start with
Can
the
we do
ink.
it together?
Yeah, I think that would be better.
Okay, let's start with the ink.
Okay.
Uh,
The ink will be 30.
I get 30. What's this? The ink is what? 2 times 15?
Yes.
2. So that's 30. Now we need what? The paper.
The paper.
How much is the paper?
1 times 10, which is 10.
So the paper is 10. So we got 2 of the cost down. Let me take these out.
Which will equal 40. So direct materials is 40.
Okay. What's the labor?
Direct labor rate is $50 per hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then direct labor production is 10 books per hour.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 60 per hour.
Suppose you pay
Or
$50 for 10 books. How much?
suppose you made
cost?
50.
So it'd be 5?
5.
5. Oh, so we divide that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can make 50 an hour. You can make 10 an hour. So our direct labor costs
Will be 5. Okay, I get it.
5. Okay. Now we need to look at our POR so we can get our manufacturing overhead. So,
It's 5. Okay.
so we know that we're making 10 books per hour, right?
Yes.
So where's this formula at? Trying to clear this out. Okay. So the total overhead in this case was how much? 50,000, right?
50,000. Yeah.
So let's put 50,000 here. How many
It
do
would
we
be
make?
number 10,000. 10,000.
Yeah.
10,000. So in each case, it was 10,000. So we simply put a 10,000 in here.
How did we get 10,000? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
It's given.
The quantity to be produced.
It's given.
Okay.
Then we can make our productivity rate is what, 10 books per hour, right?
Yes.
So it's 10 per hour. So how many hours is it going to take us to make?
1,000.
We make 10 an hour. How many hours we want the workers to work?
1,000.
Let's think about that. We're making 10,000.
Right.
We're just in this column here. And if you were hiring people to make 10,000 items, and
Right.
they make 10 per hour, how many hours would you want them to work?
Let's see.
This is where we divide, right? Because it's more than 10 hours.
Correct.
So it's not 10,000 divided by 10. It's 1,000, right?
1,000.
I think so.
I think you said 10, but yes. So it'll be 1,000.
1,000, yeah.
Okay.
So the estimated labor hours is 1,000. So our POR is going to be what?
Is it 5,000? Let me see. No, it's 50. Yeah, it's 50.
Or it's 50.
Divided by 1,000. 50. It's 50,000 divided by 1,000, so it's 50.
50,000 divided by
50,000 by 1,000, yeah, it's 50.
POR is 50. And your manufacturing cost is going to be what? Your unit manufacturing cost.
That's like line 3 divided by,
Okay.
10 per hour, so you're going to divide 10 into the 50, and you're going to get $5.
yeah, 5.
Okay, so let's go back where we're doing this calculation. So the manufacturing overhead, the labor hours involved was 1/10 of an hour, 10 per hour. Okay, so 10 per hour. So that means it took you 1/10 of an hour to make one item, okay? It takes you 1/10 of an hour to make an item. Okay, and so the POR, we go back up here, we said the POR was what, 50? And so we're going to divide 10 into 50 because it's, whenever we can make more than an hour, we divide to get our unit cost for the overhead, our 1/10 of it. It's going to be 5. And so our total unit cost is 40 plus 5 plus 5 is what? 50. And what's our selling price going to be? Our selling price multiple was what?
It's 150. It's just 3. The multiple is 3.
3. So the selling price will be 150.
Total unit cost.
So that multiple was 3. So the selling price is 150. Any questions?
No. I think it'd be easier once I
Okay,
practice,
good.
like once I do 2 through
Y'all
5.
number 2 then.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Work number 2.
Work number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want us to say it out loud, or you just want
Now
us to
just
do it ourselves?
do the whole thing and then tell me the bottom line is when you work number 2,
Mm-hmm.
what's the unit cost and selling price?
Okay.
So work number 2, get me the unit cost and selling price. Got it?
Almost. I do think I know what the answer is.
Think you know what the answer is.
I do. Trying to work it out. Could I actually see that chart that's up again or no? Yeah, this one. That's the exact one.
I think this number changes.
Yeah, it does. Okay, I can go back now. Can you scroll back down?
Okay, we can scroll back down now.
Thank you.
So in this one, the raw materials and the labor were the same, correct? Or were they?
The labor was different, but it got the same result. It was still 25 over 5 for
5
5.
and 25, so the labor is still 5.
Yes, sir.
So the question is, what is the POR?
POR. The total
Labor is
overhead.
5 hours. How many hours is it? Labor is 5 books per hour. So the productivity rate is 5. What's the POR?
I wasn't done. So
Okay.
Can I see those numbers in the middle? Yeah, those right there. There we go. Thank you.
Okay. So where are we?
Okay, so um, the estimated quantity was 10,000, and MOH was 150,000. So was I supposed to do that by divide that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I can't remember. POR. No, okay, total overhead. Okay, that's what I thought.
So this is what, 5 per hour? Wasn't this 5 per hour labor productivity?
Yes, sir.
So how many hours is it going to take you to make it if you can make 5 an hour?
2,000 hours.
So what's our POR going to be?
75,000.
I
No,
don't think it's 75,000.
75. I'm sorry. 75.
And the unit overhead cost would be what?
POR. 15.
Well, it's going to be 75 divided by 5. How much is that? Because you got to divide. 15?
It's 15, I think. 75 divided by 5. Yeah, it's 15.
So $15 to 75. So what's our total cost?
60.
What's our selling price going to be?
The multiplier is 2, so 120.
120. Any questions by anyone? Let's go back up here and let's do number 4. So do number 4. So that's before we finish today, do number 4.
Okay. Okay. 40. Your screen went away. I can't see anything.
Well, I was making my homework assignments. So we have 2 exercises that deal with this 10-5 and 10-6.
10-5 and 10-6. Is that in the
Mhm.
book?
It's in the book. So let's see. So on 10-5, Lagarde, you have the A. Clifton, you have B. Barlow, you have C. And Nicholas, you have A. That's for 10-5. Then we get to 10-6. Jenkins has A. Casco as B. Who's waiting for name? Who's waiting for name here?
Me, Buford.
Oh,
Crowder.
so Dansby, you have
Yes,
C,
sir.
and Buford will give you D.
Okay,
D.
D.
No, I got D, right?
Yeah, you
And
got
I
D.
got C. And I
Yep.
got C. Okay.
So that's your first
For team
homework for
6.
this period. You have to, for your homework credit, you have to.
I'm sorry, can you re-say mine? This is Barlow. I'm sorry.
You need the professor.
10-5 C, Barlow.
Okay, see, thank you.
Wait, I thought I had C.
No, that's for 10-5. She got 10-5. You got
Okay.
C for 10-6.
All right,
10-6.
got you. I got a little bit confused with that. All right, I appreciate you, Buford.
And Crowder.
Thank you, good doctor.
Okay, so you'll be putting those up for homework points on next time.
Okay.
Okay, that's all you want us to do?
Yeah, if y'all do that, I'd be happy. Have y'all
All right.
worked? Y'all can do
I'm
that.
trying to find it in the book. Do you know what page?
307, wait a minute, 308 and 309.
Okay, 308 and 309. All right, and then I'm gonna just finish working those problems so I can get this down packed. Okay, Professor, that's it.
I want to answer the 4, then that'll be it.
Oh, wait. Well, we started paying attention to this, so never
You
mind. Let
gotta.
me go back to 4.
I can't even see your screen
You
though, so you
gotta
can do the
share your
question.
screen again because you turned it off. Thank
See
you.
it now?
Yeah.
So in 4, ink is 2 at 15, paper's 1 at 10, no change. The direct labor rate is $10 an hour, but they can make 2 hours per book. Overhead is 400,000. Quantity is 10,000. Selling price multiple is 2. So I want to know the same things: total cost and selling price. Okay? Same thing. So this covers basically every example. So total cost and selling price. Total unit cost. So everything's on the unit basis, the selling price. So we'll go over these and then we'll have so this is 5-point homework, then you have a 5-point quiz, then on the period next time. We should have this down.
I think I know. Wait, hold on.
Okay, so the ink and the paper are going to be the same thing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What's the labor going to be?
It's still
10
gonna be.
hour, 2 hours per book, so it's 5.
It's 5. Yeah.
Say that again. So if you work 2 hours at $10 an hour, you want $5 pay.
Oh no, so it's 20. You multiply it because it
Oh,
take
you
more than.
multiply. Yeah. Okay. Wait.
So in this case, the labor is 20.
And the labor's 20 because
It takes 2
Because
hours.
it's 2 hours per book.
it's 2 hours
So when
per
you
book.
can make more than one book in an hour, you divide. But when it
Okay.
takes more than an hour to make the book, you multiply. Got it?
Yes.
Say that again.
If you can make 10 books per hour, you divide. If you make 2 hours per book, multiply.
Per book, you multiply. Okay. So it's
that
20.
gives us labor of 20. What's the overhead going to be? We got to come back up here to our table. What's total overhead?
Total overhead is 400,000.
400,000. What's total quantity to be produced?
10,000.
So how many hours is it going to take us to make them?
2.
Will take you 2 hours to make
To
400,000.
No, it's gonna be
oh
20,
no,
right?
not 5. It's 5,000. Is
It's 20.
it 5? Oh, I thought it was 5,000 hours.
Wait, no. What are we
So
looking
this
at?
is it takes 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, per book.
So you just give me the 2, okay? So what's the total estimated hours?
5,000. No, 20,000. Sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's gonna take 20,000. So when we divide 400,000 by 20,000, what's our POR?
20. It's 20.
Yeah, it's 20.
Our unit manufacturing cost.
POR multiplied by the productivity rate.
That's correct. So it's gonna be 40.
40.
So when we go now in here,
Can you go back up when you're done?
got it?
Mm-hmm.
Now multiple is 2. And so the overhead we said was, it takes 2 hours. So we have a 2 here. And the POR is 20. So we add these together, how much do we get as the total unit cost?
100.
And what's our selling price multiple? It's 2, right?
It's 2, yeah. So it's
So what's the
200.
selling price going to be?
200.
200.
So we have this template here that might be good to work with to make your calculations do it properly for each situation. So all of this is in the primer. But there's a template for the raw materials. There's another template for direct labor. Then there's a one for predetermined overhead, with overhead costs and POR. And you add them all together. At the end of the day, what's total unit cost, what's selling price? What's total unit cost, what's selling price? So everybody has one that they're working on. Any questions?
No, Crowder put something in the chat. She said that her mic not working. Which question does she have?
There's a question in the chat. Okay. Crowder needs a question. I need a question to do, Professor. Can someone let me know if my mic is not working, that I need a question for homework? Who needs a question?
Crowder, me, Professor.
Oh, Crowder. Okay. So, Crowder, since your mic is not working, for the in-class example, you can do number 3. So in the in-class example, there's a situation 3, you can have that one. Okay? I thought that was a Buford saying that was.
I was just reading what she was saying.
So what?
I just had read what was on the chat.
Okay.
So that's it, Professor?
That's it. If there are no other questions.
Okay. All right, thank you.